Rain tapped against Michael's window, creating a monotonous rhythm that mirrored his own loneliness. This evening was just another extension of his endless days. A stack of papers on his desk awaited review, but he couldn't find the motivation to start. Instead, his gaze fell upon an old school backpack he had accidentally stumbled upon in the close. With slow curiosity, he unpacked its contents, ignoring the impending morning and the unfinished work. Among old notebooks and pencils, he stumbled upon something that made his eyes widen. It was an old mobile phone, a model long out of use. How many years has this thing been lying around? Michael thought as he took the phone out of the backpack. He turned it over in his hands, inspecting the old keypad and the cracked screen. Deciding it was just a useless relic of the past, he shoved it into his pocket and returned to his papers. The large wall clock marked the time as Michael leaned over his tablet, but his attention was drawn to the phone, which slowly blinked with a red light. He retrieved the old device from his pocket and saw a series of unanswered calls to the number 911 on the screen. The dates displayed on the screen spanned several past decades. A sense of unease washed over him, but he reasoned that it might be the result of some strange software error in the old phone. However, when the phone rang again, demanding his attention, he couldn't remain indifferent. "What the hell is going on?" Michael muttered as the phone rang once more. Nervously, he answered the call. "Hello, who is this?" Michael asked, bringing the phone to his ear. On the other end of the line came a crackling, distorted voice. It sounded like an elderly person struggling to breathe. "Help, I need help," the voice whispered. "Where are you? What happened?" Michael inquired, his worry growing by the second. "Help, I am dying," the voice whispered again, and then the call abruptly ended. Michael was stunned. It was something unbelievable. He tried to call back, but the phone displayed an error. He attempted to reboot it, but when he turned it on again, the calls had vanished, leaving only the flickering time display. Michael spent a sleepless night trying to make sense of what had just happened. His mind rejected the idea that he had heard a voice from the past. He began investigating the history of his home, hoping to find any traces of its previous occupants. All he could find were mundane records, past homeowners, but nothing hinted at any mysterious events. Nevertheless, Michael was determined to uncover the truth. He returned to the phone and began reviewing its call history. He noticed that each call was connected to some tragedy from the past. He decided to call one of the numbers, but this attempt ended in disappointment. No one answered. A week passed as Michael continued his search for answers. He delved into historical archives, spending long hours at the library, but couldn't find anything that connected to the mysterious calls. His work suffered, and sleep became elusive. However, one day when he dialed the number 911 again, he heard a voice. It was a man who spoke about a fire in an old house in the 1980s. The voice was filled with horror, and Michael understood that it was a witness to the events. The man recounted details of the fire, including how he had tried to save his neighbor but the neighbor perished in the flames. It was a horrific tale, and Michael couldn't tear his gaze away from the phone. Michael resolved to investigate the fire the man had mentioned. He scoured local archives and found old newspaper articles confirming the events described in the call. Indeed, the house the men spoke of had burned down, and one person had died. Now, Michael was convinced that the mysterious calls from the past were somehow linked to unexplainable phenomena that compelled him to explore the history of his home. He decided to continue his search for answers, determined to unravel the mystery. As Michael delved deeper into his research, he discovered that many of the calls were associated with various tragedies that had occurred in and around his home. He found records of accidents, unsolved disappearances, and strange deaths that had plagued the area over the years. He began to understand that this was not a mere glitch in an old phone. It was something more sinister and dark. It seemed that someone or something was trying to communicate with him through the past, revealing horrifying secrets. Michael spent months deciphering the mysterious calls and researching the history of his home and the neighborhood. He found connections between different events and realized that they were all somehow linked to his house. He decided to conduct a final investigation to piece together the last part of the puzzle. When he stumbled upon records of the construction of his house, he realized that it was the beginning of all the evil. The house had been built on the site of an old cemetery that had been closed and destroyed in the past century. Michael continued to communicate with those who called 911 from the past. He encountered a woman who told him how her son had disappeared in the 1990s, and how she had never been able to find his body or understand what had happened to him. He had to listen to her tears and despair, which only strengthened his resolve to find answers. Michael gathered all the evidence and research he had collected into a comprehensive picture. He believed that if he could solve all the mysteries related to the calls from the past, he could uncover the truth and put an end to this nightmare. Michael spent sleepless nights decoding the mysterious calls and researching the history of his home and neighborhood. He discovered links between various events, and it became clear that all these tragedies were somehow connected to his house. He decided to conduct one last investigation to uncover the ultimate piece of the puzzle.